Welcome, my budget friends. It's Friday afternoon, and I can't think of a better time to wrap up my first paycheck from September. I've got a little cozy setup here. I've added a couple of extra elements that I haven't had in the past. One is a candle. I know a lot of people use them. Not a big candle person, but I teach in a school, and candles are often a fundraiser, so I have candles. I'm not a candle person. I have candles. My mother has been over here at times and she's tried rearranging and she says, "Why do you have so many candles? You never burn them." And I'm like, well, I'm a teacher. I also have a big mug of tea. This is not coffee. This is a vanilla chai by Bigelow that I just made up with honey, I think 2 spoons of honey and some milk. And I'm going to take a quick little sip. Ooh, it's still very warm. The purpose of the tea is twofold. One is it's cozy, and we're going to need all the cozy we can get because we're going to talk about some uncozy things like medical bills. But the other reason is because my voice is especially strained after this week with students. So I do have my budget plan right here. But before I get started on it, I think there's going to need to be a little background, my backstory. And that is before I came to budgeting, and one of the reasons I came to budgeting is because of medical bills. In 2015, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I am a breast cancer survivor. It was stage 3. I had a tumor and 2 affected lymph nodes. I had chemotherapy, I had surgery, and then I had radiation. My treatments lasted almost a year. I was very fortunate, and I mean very fortunate, that 3 or 4 years before I got cancer, one of my coworkers had talked me into buying the supplemental cancer insurance that was offered by my work. But my friend was able to convince me that there are things like experimental treatments and other things that are not quite covered. And I don't know why I listened to her. Maybe it was because the premium was fairly low. I don't know. But I signed on. And 4 years later, I was very glad that I did. Any of you who have been involved with any serious illness or any chronic illness know probably better than I do how many, many, many different people it takes to treat you and to diagnose you and to keep you on maintenance, and they all send a separate bill. I mean, truthfully, I found it really confusing. And I'm an intelligent person, but how you could go to your doctor's office and he could see you, he could run some labs, he could have a PET scan done, all there in his office. And you would receive 3 or 4 different bills, one from his office and his facility, one from the lab where the more specialized tests had been sent out to, one from the scanning company that was actually only subcontracting space in the oncologist's office because it's a common test that oncologists run, but it was actually owned and run by another practice. And then the pathologist report from any biopsies or the radiologist report from actually reading the scan that was done in the doctor's office, because it's not your doctor that's reading it, it's a specialized doctor. I really do appreciate these people who have dedicated their lives to specializing in medicine. And I help my son prepare for the MCAT, even though he has decided that medical school is not for him. He was once on that path. And I have never been so overwhelmed by a test, and that was just the basics, the barest minimal basics. There is so much that is understood now about the way the body works, the way chemistry in the body works, that was not understood 40 years ago, that I absolutely get that we have to have specialists, but it's confusing as all get out when you are the patient receiving the bills. So I know these are kind of some soapboxes, and I'm trying to keep it short, but the long version of the short story is that I did not pay careful attention to my bills. I paid them, or I paid some of them. Some of them went to collections. One of them, the hospital where I had my surgery was a state-run hospital because it's a teaching hospital. And I paid one of the earliest payments, then I called and paid half of the remainder, and then I let it go for a while. And I don't even know why, but was informed when I was expecting my state income tax refund that had been diverted to the state-run hospital. I was like, oh, so that's how that works. And the thing is, that lovely cancer insurance that I mentioned, I also didn't know how to work it either. I made an initial claim, received something like $800, and then just threw my hands up and concentrated on my treatments. Because I was receiving all these treatments at the same time, I was still teaching. I taught through all of my cancer treatment that time, and have a very special place in my heart for the kids who were with me on that journey, because they were amazing. They were absolutely amazing. Anyway, so I didn't file my cancer insurance until a year after I stopped treatment. And you would think that would be, I thought, can't hurt. If they send me anything, it's a win. And they did. They paid out on, I assume, all of it, because I didn't go through and figure out what they were supposed to pay. I just sent it to them. I just sent them, 30, 40, 50 pages of information, and they deposited money in my account. And you would think I would then use that money to find all of my outstanding bills and pay them. But you would be wrong, because I just wasn't paying attention. A couple of those, the smallest ones, ended up in collections. The one, like I mentioned, was being collected through my income tax. And fast forward to 2022 in the summer, and I was tired of it. I was tired of getting statements from people, and I had no idea what they were for, because they were so far removed from the service provided. I was tired of not knowing if I owed people thousands of dollars or $100, and I decided it was finally time for me to take control of my budgeting, and that started my budgeting journey. So you could definitely say that my budgeting journey began with my cancer diagnosis and my cancer treatment from 2015 and 2016. Well, those of you who have had a cancer diagnosis or have had breast cancer before will understand when I say you stay in touch with your oncologist, usually with an annual visit. Hopefully it is short. You have some labs run. You have a nice visit with the doctor who you feel saved your life, and you always look favorably upon. And you go your merry way, because now you are cancer-free. And I've done that for 7 years. But this summer, after I had had that wonderful visit and scheduled mine for next year, I received a phone call that one of my tests was abnormal and I needed to come in for a PET scan. And the quickest version is that they did find a return of the cancer in a spot under my arm, but they also found 2 places that it had metastasized to my bones. So I am, although caught very quickly, I am stage 4 metastatic breast cancer, which means, in my mind and in my understanding, because we've been pretty aggressive in treating what we could, that we have hopefully removed almost any active cancer that's in my body, started me on medications to suppress my hormones and to hopefully suppress any cancer growth. And now we will hopefully go into what I anticipate to be years of maintenance, chronic disease maintenance. And so the first time I was diagnosed, my mom says, I was actually standing in the French Quarter of New Orleans when I got the phone call saying that my biopsy was positive for cancer. My mom was with me and my son was with me, and we were getting ready to go back to the hotel and change for our dinner reservations at Galatoire's. And if any of you have been to New Orleans, Galatoire's in the French Quarter is one of the restaurants that you go to, and it has been for 70 years. Anyway, we went back to the hotel. My mom likes to say, I sat everybody down and I said, we are not going to be all cancer all the time. We're going to do what we need to do, and we are going to live our life. And that was my attitude then, and that is my attitude now. When I got this diagnosis, my first thought was, I am just now getting my finances in order so that I can start making plans to do what I want to do. And this is not going to stop me. So on that positive and hopeful note, I'm going to take a swig of celebratory tea. And we're going to pay some medical bills, all right? This is the recap of my September, the first half of September, my September paycheck. Let me zoom you in just one moment. All right, I'm back. Now, so we are going to have a few things show up in income that were not expected. So I carried forward my $50 checking buffer. My paycheck came in for $1,683.98. Okay, my medical sinking fund. I don't have a place anywhere where I am keeping track of income from my cancer insurance. I have sent them some of my bills, not all of my bills, so I have not received everything that I will receive, but they did send me an initial payment of just over $2,100. I put that in my medical sinking fund, and I am pulling out $1,640 to pay at this time. And also, because you can't forget it, my son gave me $5. I think, once again, he wanted some cheese dip or something. And so let me put that in here because, by golly, it's income. My income, therefore, ended up being much larger, $3,378.98. Bringing this down, I spent $25 that was transferred to my personal checking account for shopping. At some point, I actually need to do some shopping. This weekend might be a very good time. My mortgage came in for its usual $844.33. My internet, $136.75. And my gym did remember this time and charged me for $55. So that was anticipated, and I budgeted for it. I wasn't going to say anything if they charged me less, but they caught on. And, of course, my Apple storage for 99 cents. All right, here's where one thing is different. The night before my surgery, my outpatient surgery, my mom and I spent the night in a hotel because I was due at the hospital at 5 a.m. and it is out of town. So I put that on my Discover card. And I know that my cancer insurance will reimburse me at least partially, if not fully, for the hotel room and for the travel. So I paid that. No, it would be due next month on the 5th, but I wanted to pay it before any interest accrued. So $123.99, and that is part of what I paid with the medical funds. So that means that my bills, and one of the reasons I put it over here and not over here, you're going to see, is because this little section only has 4 lines, and I already have 5 things in it. And I didn't want to put medical bills here. I don't know why. I'm stubborn. I don't know why. So $1,202 with that additional and 43 cents, which leaves $2,176. These numbers are so ridiculously high compared to my normal budget that it's not until I get down into here that I can start seeing what do I actually have outside of all this. But anything, wait, 1,000, I can't talk. $2,176.55. Now, let's see if I can write it better down here. $2,176.55. I actually did very well with my groceries this month. I have no idea why, or this half of the month. $193.80. The eating out, not quite as good. Now this includes the $5 that my son gave me, so I was less than $6 over. I should cut myself some slack because actually instead of $275, this is probably $280, and I'm within that. So let me just cut myself some slack and say, for food, this half of the month, I did surprisingly well. Now, car and fuel, it seems like it was one of those 3 weekend halves of the month. And a lot of times I get fuel on the weekends, so I ended up getting a little bit more than normal. I had my normal $20 for entertainment. I did spend $30 at school. It was a contribution to our courtesy fund. Ooh, I believe that I'm out of frame. So $20 for entertainment, $30 for the courtesy fund. This allows me to wear jeans this semester. So I'm kind of excited about that. Medical, I did not count any of this stuff in this one dinky, tiny little medical thing. I need more room than that. So we're just gonna do it somewhere else. And my miscellaneous, $15.18. All of this comes to $3.99. Moving on, doing budgeting. Come on, we've had enough sidetracks. $3.99.68, which is less by about $5.50. So I was doing very well on that, and subtracted $1,776.87. All right, I had to figure out my medical bills before I could figure out this stuff. So let me go ahead and do it a little bit like I did it then. I have a radiologist charge. I have an oncologist. That's my main doctor. I had the radiation center where I had radiation. That one is here in town. My oncologist is out of town. I had, what would you call them? Another radiologist where I had my biopsy. And that one is also out of town. And let's see, what's the last one? The pathologist who read the biopsy and gave me the less than stellar news. And I still have to pay them. So none of this was anticipated. None of this was expected. The radiologist, let me go ahead and put this in here. All right. The radiologist, the first one, it's actually not the first one, it's the second one. This radiologist read the CT scan that was used to plan my radiation therapy. These radiologists did my biopsy. So it's all different people. Like I said, it starts to get really confusing. Currently, my oncologist charge was only $138.65. That's because I paid some of it already, but because they're also still submitting things to my insurance. And I did pay some stuff along the way because at that oncology center was also my surgeon that did my outpatient surgery. All right, I have actually written these down in a different order than I have them up here, so let me, okay, the radiation center was $298.66. The radiologist, $519.49. And the pathologist, $518.60. Now, I'm not going to get out a calculator and do all of this, but I believe, and I think I ran it several times before, that this should total $1,504.55. These are not the complete charges. I know this radiologist and this pathologist were both $900, but I didn't want to go into my other insurance. This is the first year that I have switched to a higher deductible insurance plan so that I could easily cover myself and my son and put money into an HSA. I was putting a good chunk into my HSA, but I'm doing it every paycheck, which means it's still not all in there. It takes the whole year to get it in there. And I'm trying not to spend it all out and have absolutely nothing in there. So I'm preserving $800 to $1,000 in there. and I have about 450, 460 from what has been sent to me so far from my cancer insurance in savings as well. Just trying to get all the bills in and pay them. But I wanted everybody to get something. I wanted everybody to have something to show that I do recognize that they have billed me. I am dealing with them in good faith. I haven't called and made up a payment plan because I'm hoping I don't need to have a slow payment plan. I'm hoping that I can file some more insurance and write some more checks like this and pay in big chunks. But I'll call if I need to. Let me put it that way. I will call if I need to. So coming back down here, or back up here, excuse me, I need to bring this total up here, $1,776.87. And I determined, let me put in here the things that I always have to do, and that is my checking buffer for $50. And I determined with my emergency fund, with my Discover Snowball, which I'm still keeping, even though I had to pay something to Discover, this is medical expenses, I still want to keep that $75 that I used to have going towards my Discover and have it go into sinking funds. Since I'm putting $25 into emergency, I just really like the idea of it being in those regular $25 amounts. So right now my emergency fund has an odd number of dollars and 39 cents in it. I decided to round it up to the next 100 by putting in $12, whoops, not 39, $12.71. I do have whiteout, but I've already written it in. You'll be fine looking at it. It's $12.71. Okay. Again, not doing anything medical. I put the cancer insurance put money in there for me. I'm good. But what it left me with is basically $130 that I could divide between these 5 sinking funds. So I decided to put $50 more into home maintenance to add to the $50 that I have with the Discover Snowball. So that'll be $100 in home maintenance this time, and $20 in these remaining 4. They don't often get to see $20. They see 10, 15, sometimes 5. But car maintenance, pets, vacation, and gifts all got $20. And the total on all of that is $192.71, which subtracted from the amount above gives me $1,584.16. To put that right here, $1,584.16. I've also already shown you that this is about $1,500, so you know where most of this is going. I am left with $79.61. Carrying that down, $79.61. I'm going to pay $50 to home maintenance, $25 to emergency fund, and then we'll probably just do that. If I have an extra $25 that I can put in sinking funds, I will, but I'm probably only going to pay it in increments of $25 from now on. That means I have a change roundup that I can put into my very small sinking, or my very small savings challenges of $4.61 for a total of $79.61. And that leads me to a zero-based budget. All right, I'm back, and I have my tea, which has cooled off nicely now. But I don't want to have swallowing sounds on my video. I don't know about you, but that's not one of my favorite sounds. And I don't want to make this video any longer than it is. I've been kind of coy and non-specific about my medical expenses, and since they are going to be probably a part of my life going forward, and I may end up in a place where I have to reach a little bit more in order to meet them. I am very, very blessed. I have insurance through my work. I have sinking funds that I've worked on for 2 years, and I still have cancer insurance and options. It gives me options in treatment. It gives me options in my finances, and I'm very, very grateful. Anyway, I did not want to spend any more time or any more months trying to not say what I was spending my money on. And I started this channel with the intention of being transparent with my real dollars. So this is my real budget. This is what I spent at the beginning of September. This is my life. So I'm so glad that you joined me and that I've seen that my viewership has been growing since I've been posting more regularly, and I am very, very glad that you're here. If you would like to continue on this journey with me, if you would like budgeting videos that talk about how I got started or how I was trying to help my mom get started recently, if I can show you how to get on this journey and have these financial blessings that I have, please comment below. As always, feel free to like my channel and subscribe. I would love to start a conversation and be able to look forward to opening my computer and seeing my budgeting community. So I'm going to go, and I will be back probably with a check-in for my late September paycheck, because I've had some finances doing this and doing that. It shouldn't be too surprising, but just flexible. Good budgets are flexible, and mine is proving up to the challenge. So until then, I'll see you soon. Bye.